All right, Dustin, let's talk about The Naked Gun, which is technically The Naked Gun 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay,
right.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, so The Naked Gun. I did a deep dive on The Naked Gun because I'm pretty sure I had seen the first one. I was very young, and so I have like vague memories of it. Maybe I saw part of it on TV. Like
I've never seen any of these films. I remember distinctly, this will make sense to you and no one else. Do you remember that time I was telling you guys how it was before some movie, I don't know what it was, but I had a VHS of some movie when I was, in the early 90s. And there was a commercial or like a thingy hosted by, like, with George Takei on the set of what looked kind of like a hollowed out Enterprise, and he's talking about the power of VHS and and video recording, and you may have found a little sticker and say, please don't throw it away. It's your ticket to the cinematic experience. So there was this whole thing, and after that aired, the next thing that played was a trailer for, I believe, the third film, The Final Insult. Yeah, the Naked Gun, but they didn't call it 33 and a third like they see in this, like in this thing. It was just The Naked Gun 3, The Final Insult. They must have changed the title by the time that it came out. But I remember it distinctly. Anyway, I promise everybody, I'm supposed to do this. But that's the only thing. I just remember thinking it was weird. And it was like him being pulled away by some limo after like someone just got married. Is that even in the film?
Pulling away in a limo.
Like there's a limo, someone just got married and they're pulling all that shit behind the car like they do. And it grabs, maybe is Leslie Nielsen. Is that in the film? I
think it grabs O.J. Simpson.
Yeah. Oh, does
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah.
It was the gag I'm thinking about. Yes.
Okay. So that's all it was. It wasn't like the plot of the film at all. It was just that little bit.
Okay.
It was like a teaser.
Sure.
And sorry, that was a really long-winded way of saying I know what these are, but I've never seen them.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I wish I hadn't taken so long to explain that.
No, you're fine. Yeah, it's a strange thing because like I said, I feel like I'd seen the first one or at least part of it. I had never seen the second or third one. So then I heard the new one was coming out with Liam Neeson. I saw a trailer. I was like, it kind of looks funny. I might want to see this, but I feel like I need to see the others first because it was clear to me that this is not like a reboot. It's a reboot sequel.
Yeah, it's a legacy sequel.
Yeah, they're mentioning, Leslie Nielsen's character by name and like, all this. Liam Neeson is playing his son. So I'm like, okay, I feel like I need to do this. So they're all on Paramount Plus. So I was like, great, I'm going to knock it out. Yep. So I did. I kind of binged over the course of a week these three movies. Or not even a week, a few days. It feels like a fever dream when you get too far into it. And you're like, what is the world even? Yeah. But for those that don't know, The Naked Gun, the original is from 1988, although it is a spinoff of a television series, which was, I think, a failed TV series. So the original is called The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad. Police Squad was the name of the series. So The Naked Gun, 1988, starring Leslie Nielsen.
Which he reprises the role. That was his role in Police Squad.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It also stars Priscilla Presley, O.J. Simpson, Ricardo Montalban, George Kennedy, and a whole bunch of others, including Olivia Soprano herself, Nancy Marchand.
Oh, good for you.
Oh, good for you.
I don't think she says that. That's Christian Bale.
No, she does say that. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Could you get out of my fucking lights?
Janice? It's directed by David Zucker. He's the writer of a bunch of comedies that you love, like, Airplane and Top Secret. And he
loves making silly movies.
Yeah, just loves making those silly kind of parody type films. And
that guy actually came back to direct like Scary Movie 3, I believe.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. He's been around the block for sure.
And 4.
And so the basic gist of it is, I'm not going to deep dive the older ones, but for you all here, but just to give you some context here, Leslie Nielsen plays a detective named Frank Drebin, or a Lieutenant Frank Drebin. And he's on the case of some things. The plot doesn't really ever matter, but it is like a device to keep the comedy going. Essentially, there's a plot to assassinate Queen Elizabeth II, and he must stop it. But again, doesn't really matter. And what these movies are famous for are, like their punny dialogue, but also visual gags, and that's what I enjoy most about them. Is whether it's slapstick humor or just something completely visual that's happening in the background. One of my favorite ones, I was telling this to Kellen recently, in Naked Gun 3 or 33 and a third, it starts with sort of this thing. It's almost Mission Impossible-esque, where Frank Drebin is at like this train station, and he's watching the clock nervously. Something's going to happen at a very specific time, and we're getting very close to that time. And he starts seeing a mom like trying to lug a stroller, like a baby in a stroller, up the stairs. So he's like, well, I got to go help her. So he goes to help her. And then like another mom comes with more babies. And
I've seen this.
So now OJ Simpson is trying to help them up. And so they're all going up the steps. And about that time, like the bad guy comes down, there's a firefight randomly, like the president comes down, and then the Pope, and then like all these people just started like being in the way of things. And then eventually it ends with the strollers being dropped, and the baby's like going down the steps, and they get launched in the air, and OJ Simpson fields them like a receiver. And he finally, when he catches the last baby, this is completely in the background. So like the focus is on Frank Drebin, but in the background, blurred out, you see him catch the last baby, do like the end zone dance, and he's getting ready to just like spike the baby into the ground, and it cuts away. And it's like those like visual gags where it's not even a reference. Like Frank Drebin doesn't turn around and go like, what are you doing? Like it doesn't matter. It just is there.
It's like I've said before, like I just like it when things say, all right, if I'm here and if you want to like it, it's fine. But like, I'm not going to stop the movie to ask you to laugh at this. I'm just going to do it. And if you see it, then that's mission accomplished. Like I love subtlety in that way. Like it's not a subtle gag, but just the fact that it's never featured, it's just a background element. Love it.
The gags are super broad here, but they work. Like they pretty much all land, which is rare. And there's like a moment in the second one that always sticks out, or has stuck out to me since I saw it, where it opens with like a presidential dinner, like a gala, and it's George H.W. Bush and Barbara, and they're like coming down the steps. And what happens is, as they progress to like the table, Frank Drebin continually somehow injures the first lady, and like over and over, like he opens a door into her face. He like knocks her off he like pulls her chair out from under her at dinner. And it's all just like played completely, like he doesn't care. He doesn't notice he's doing it, but it's like happening in the background kind of. And the audience is loving it. Like we know it, but like nobody in the story even references that she's being injured in any way.
Like the Secret Service, perhaps.
Yeah, and this is like a running gag, so much so that like the last gag of the film is like Frank Drebin being honored by the president, and he's like out like waving, and somehow he like bumps the first lady, and she ends up falling over a balcony, and you just see her throughout the end credits, like holding on to the ledge, like threatening to fall and die, I guess. And it doesn't matter. Like none of this matters. It's super Looney Tunes and whatever. And it's fine. And it's great. And if you like that kind of thing, if you like that humor, you will like these movies. Because again, the plot doesn't matter. It is a joke delivery machine. And that's all it ever is. And so for that reason, they're easy to put on and easy to watch. I did myself the disservice of watching them very close together, and now they're all blurred in my brain as far as like plot elements. But I do know, like, you know, I'm obviously recalling these gags. There's a great gag in the first one. The whole running gag in the first one is that O.J. Simpson continuously gets injured. And that's fun to watch just because of who O.J. is.
Yeah.
Who we know him to be now.
You kind of hope it's real.
I do want to say that for anyone who's young enough, we did not, OJ had not, like, this was not a thing. It's not like they thought it was edgy to put a murderer in a film.
Yeah.
This predates that.
It is edgy, but they didn't.
It is, right? Sure. But yeah, it's
Matthew Broderick's still in movies.
Go. But yeah, man, it's a fun, funny little like slice of 80s culture that, like, I don't know, it's classic comedy. It just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, 2025 rolls around and Liam Neeson is cast and plays Frank Drebin Jr.
Once you kill a man for revenge, there's no going back. A voice in your head sang over and over, "That was awesome."
Who are you?
Drebin. Detective Frank Drebin. Thanks.
Police squad has always been the elite of the elite.
Hi, Daddy. It's me, Frank Jr. Love you.
Hey, Dad. Boy, do I miss you.
And you, Frank, are the best of the best.
I need a bathroom. I need this one immediately.
There's a line, man.
Police business. Oh, I'm gonna ruin another suit.
Over here, Lieutenant. I think someone murdered my brother.
Please, take a chair.
Thank you.
I'll find them. This is what I do. Says you served 20 years for man's laughter.
You mean manslaughter?
Must have been quite the joke.
They're going to shut down police squad if you do not solve this case. Do this by the book.
Show a little respect!
Why? Who's gonna arrest me? Other cops?
Yes.
Is she serious?
Is he serious?
No.
It seems Mr. Drebin might be more of a problem than we thought. I want you to keep an eye on him.
This oven is disgusting.
Rest assured, I won't stop until I've found justice.
What do you want, little one?
Your ass. Nobody messes with police squad.
We've upgraded your car with the most advanced crime-fighting tech.
Drive forward 30 feet. Pretty smooth.
Oh!
This place is falling apart.
Do you think that it is intentional that they cast a man whose name sounds like Leslie Nielsen?
I've wondered that. There must be some, like, I don't know, funny thing that happened at the beginning where they were like, it would be funny to get him.
Yeah.
But it's produced by Fuzzy Door and so Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
And Seth has like a long-standing thing with Liam, so maybe it just is what it is. But the film is written by and directed by Akiva Schaffer, who's from The Lonely Island.
Yep.
And a couple other writers as well, Dan Gregor and Doug Mand. And it stars, again, Liam Neeson, Pamela Anderson, Paul Walter Hauser, Danny Houston, CCH Pounder, Kevin Durand, Liza Koshy, a whole bunch of other people.
You gotta have CCH Pounder in a cop movie.
Gotta have CCH Pounder. She's so great. The plot of this film is, again, doesn't matter. But it begins with Kevin Durand. It's like a bank heist. very reminiscent of the Dark Knight's opening scene. And Kevin Durant breaks into a bank vault and steals a thing from a safety deposit box. And what it is a device called the plot device. And the plot device is stolen and given to our villain. And now it's up to Frank Drebin Jr. to figure out what the plot device does and what it, what the plot of the villain is. Like what is he scheming up here, and we must stop him. So the film is way more slick than the original trilogy. And by that I mean, it obviously it's set after, like, post everything that Mission Impossible became and James Bond became and Jason Bourne. So, like, the film had to be a little slicker than what Leslie Nielsen's version was. And if I had to say there's a gripe that I have with the film, I think it gets caught up in the slickness and in the, like, style of that and wanting the plot to matter more than it does. It really doesn't. But because obviously, like, the name of the big device they're trying to get is called the plot device. It doesn't actually matter what it does or what it is. And yet by the end, there is, like, a clear definition of what it does. And so it feels a little like it would have been better if this was all vague and didn't matter. So it's, like, caught in this weird territory where it wants to not matter, but they also want it to make sense in a world post Mission Impossible. So it feels slick and there's stakes and all of that. And I think that may have been my biggest gripe with the film, is, like, it just shouldn't have cared. Exactly what you just mentioned. Like, when a film doesn't care, it kind of means more, and especially a parody film. It just shouldn't care. Like, the plot mechanics, the logic of it doesn't have to be logical. It doesn't have to make any mechanical sense. And to that end, like, again, there's some great jokes in here, and, like, things that you have to, like, just wave your hand at, like the fact that Liam Neeson is as old as he is. As far as we know, Frank Drebin only had one son, and it was at the end of the third film, which means this child, Liam Neeson, would have been born in 1994. So clearly he's a little old for the role. So there's that. But there's also a moment where he's, like, talking on the phone to his mother, and I'm like, "Goo, how old is the mom?" And so, it's almost like it was written for a younger person, but then they just cast Liam Neeson, and that's fine.
Well, I can tell you that so this was supposed to be a direct-to-TV sequel starring Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, okay.
Originally, and then it was in development hell, and then in 2013 it was being developed to star Ed Helms.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which would have made a little more sense with
that would have made more sense. Yeah.
And then when
not a lot more sense, but a little more sense. A little.
And then in January 2021, when Seth MacFarlane picked it up, that's when it was like, all right, we're going to do Liam Neeson.
Yeah. Well, to that end, I think Liam Neeson's a great pick. Like, I can see it going both ways. I could see the Ed Helms version in my mind. But Liam Neeson is so deadpan and so serious.
Plays it so serious.
It works. In the moments where he has to be intense, it works. And luckily those moments are always undercut by a joke.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. And Liam Neeson's really great at comedy. Like, I don't know if people know that, but he is. He's really great.
He's funny.
Like, he's funny. He's dry, and he's got great timing.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed his performance specifically in this film.
That dude played a version of himself in Atlanta.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He is funny.
Yes.
And I think the first inkling I had of this is when he did the Lego Movie, and he's, like, putting on a goofy voice and, like, I'm like, oh, this guy isn't just taking himself super seriously all the time.
Yeah.
And, like, everyone else Pamela Anderson, Paul Walter Hauser, they always do great. I got no complaints in the casting department. There are fewer jokes in this per capita. The original films are so dense. There's always something happening. Mm-hmm. It's either a dialogue joke or a visual gag or both on top of each other. And this is a little more spread out and spaced out, and that's fine. But it is a noticeable difference. But the tone, like the actual style of the humor, is exactly right. There's a moment where so there's this running gag where the characters in detective or in like cop movies are always have their coffee in their hand, right? Mm-hmm. So there's this running gag throughout the film that the characters just keep getting handed coffee. And so like the joke really works, and it gets funnier each time it happens. And that feels right in line with how the original series would have parodied what cop movies do now. Yeah. And that totally works. There's also a lot of like really good dialogue driven jokes, which are elevated by Liam Neeson. So, there's a joke that I loved. It's sort of parodying like film noir tropes. Frank Drebin Jr. does like an internal monologue. And so there's a moment where Pamela Anderson walks in, and he's worried that she's like too much trouble. Like, she's the femme fatale, like she's going to be too hard to handle and whatever. Mm-hmm. And he just says a line. This is the dumbest line, but Liam Neeson carries it like so well. The line is like a teenager with 2 babysitting jobs. The last thing I needed was another babysitting job. And it's just such a dumb line. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, okay. Why would you write that? But like, it just works because it's Liam Neeson saying it.
Right.
There's a lot of like silly stuff like that. A lot of good comedy. Like I won't spoil it, but what I will say is like, if you are on the fence about this and have somehow avoided seeing a trailer, don't see the trailer. This is a case where like some of the best jokes are in the trailer. And like, you're going to ruin some of those really great jokes. Some of my favorites ended up actually being just from the trailers. The way I kind of rate all these films is like oscillating between 3.5 and 3 stars. They're fine. They're not like, I'm not clamoring to go buy them on Blu-ray or whatever, but like,
right.
I certainly will watch them again. And, I think they're a lot of fun, including this latest film. So there are some gripes with like the slickness of it. But I think it's a really solid entry into the series, and it pays homage to what came before really well, without like being too bound by it. But at the same time, it doesn't take itself so seriously that like there's a big, like you would expect from a legacy sequel, like some big profound moment where, I have to honor my father, or whatever, or like just some big, I don't know, moment that's nostalgic or whatever.
Yeah.
And like this film never goes there because it doesn't care. And that's refreshing. Yeah. So I enjoyed it. I think it's funny. And that's the best thing you can say about a movie like this is it is funny. So regardless of the plot, like I won't get into structure and I won't get into character arcs because none of it matters. All that matters with a movie like this is it funny? And the answer is yes. So if you're on the fence, I recommend you go see it. Do I recommend you pay full price for it? Maybe, maybe not. But what I will say is it's funny and you won't regret it. But it's short. It's an hour and a half. Hour 25, I think. So it like breezes right by. And if you wanted to wait for it to inevitably drop on Paramount Plus, do it. It's fine. But it is worth your time, especially if you've seen the others. I guess there are probably some folks out there who are so diehard about the original 3 that, they're sacred and don't mess with them. This doesn't. It respects them. And it's a great addition. So yeah, man, The Naked Gun 2025 is is fine. It's totally solid. So go see it and thank me later.
Would you watch more of these if they made sequels?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
But I'm also the weird guy that like, I like a parody movie if they can do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, do you remember, man, I don't know what year this was, 2010 maybe, when Get Smart came out?
Yeah.
Is it like 09 or 2010 or something like that?
Yeah.
I was like the weird guy that would have watched more of those.
Yeah, I would have watched more. I would have watched another one too. Yeah,
I enjoy a good parody movie and a good movie that's just like a straight up 2008. Good Lord.
I know.
Like a movie that's just a straight up comedy and isn't trying to achieve more than that. So
it made good money. I don't know why. That was an $80 million film. It made $230 million. I don't know why they never made more. Yeah. Future.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Fun fact, Get Smart was directed by Peter Segal, who directed Naked Gun 3.
Oh, see, they did a spin-off film for some of those side characters, direct to DVD. 11 days after the feature film's theatrical release. So this was a canceled sequel. It's a little Get Smart thing for everybody. October 7th, 2008, it was reported that Warner Brothers and Village Roadshow Pictures were producing a sequel. Carell, Hathaway, and Arkin were set to return. Other cast members yet to be announced. In July 2010, Steve Carell stated that he had recently been given a potential script for the sequel to Get Smart, but had passed on it. He said he was still very interested in eventually making a Get Smart sequel, but was willing to wait until a decent script was developed.
Wow.
In 2010, Carell said, "I took a pass at Get Smart 2, write a completely new story, and we'll see what happens with that somewhere down the line, perhaps." Anne Hathaway is definitely in, and Alan Arkin. So at some point, we don't have any projected date, and the script still needs some tweaking and some rewriting. During 2013, Carell stated it was unlikely that there would be a sequel. In December 2013, however, Peter Segal claimed Get Smart 2 had been close to being made with the funny script written by Carell himself. By 2019, Segal stated that too much time had passed for a Get Smart sequel to be viable. Alan Arkin died in 2023, which would further negate any chance of a sequel.
Yep.
Not really, but I mean,
sure. Theoretically.
So basically couldn't get the story nailed down. Too much time passed. I wonder what happened in the 6 years between.
Sounds about right. That just shows, I think, the state of the industry too is like, I mean, look, you got to have a good script, obviously, but the state of the industry is a little like, a little weary of comedy, right? Like,
yes,
there is like this sense that like it's got to hit in order for it to hit. In order for us to really make it, we need a strong sense that this is going to hit. Now, how this movie got made, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about a long time between films, 94 to 2025 is a long time between films.
Yeah.
So I'm not ruling out Get Smart, but what I am saying is like, it's tough, you know what I mean, to make a comedy. And I think everybody, like, expectations are weird with comedy because, like I said, a comedy only really has to be funny.
Yeah.
You can forgive everything else as long as you're laughing. It's weird in that way. Because you think about like, what's another genre film or another genre like horror, which is defined by a specific emotion. Yeah. If you have a horror film that's genuinely frightening, but does nothing story-wise, I still think it would be a failure. But a comedy that does nothing story-wise and is funny can totally work. So it's a weird kind of thing. But I think everybody's still chasing the weird like anomaly that The Hangover was.
Just thinking about The Hangover.
You know what I mean? It's because I often, whether it's true or not, I often consider The Hangover and its sequels the death of the feature film comedy, because it showed Hollywood that there's a potential that these movies can be made fairly cheaply and make a huge cultural impact and make a ton of money.
Yeah.
And then they've never been able to replicate that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just people are weird about comedies in the executive world.
Yeah, I was going to say studios overcomplicate them because like for them, it's numbers, and comedy is like probably one of the most subjective genres there is for films.
Yeah.
And so it's just really hard to predict what's going to be funny, and humor. This is why, I mean, people talk about like what killed this genre, that genre. Like why haven't we made comedies in the last 15 years? And it's like, well, because of YouTube and because of TikTok. And it's just like humor evolves too fast for an actual straight up comedy to actually like hit what's funny in the zeitgeist. And so all you can do is inject humor into a different genre. It's like Marvel movies. Or most movies. I mean, all movies have comedy, to an extent, but you save those jokes for those movies, or you do a film like The Naked Gun, where it's like the whole point is going to be hearkening back to a different era of comedy where, things like there are elements of comedy that are evergreen. And one of them is sight gags and slapstick. Like that is still funny instead of people trying to like outdo Judd Apatow and just improv stuff and say weird things and just cut it together in the edit,
I also think Apatow, like his style had so defined the feature film comedy by the time it was waning. That's what feature film comedy was. Yeah. It was either The Hangover or it was Knocked Up. Like that, those were your two options. And I think people grew tired of both of those. One, like the box office receipts of the Hangover movies prove that, but also like the critical reception of it and just the tiredness of the sequels. And then all of the Apatow stuff fizzled out when people started to realize like it wasn't timeless in the way that Airplane or The Naked Gun is, or Blazing Saddles, which is, Spaceballs or whatever, like those Mel Brooks comedies, are more timeless, and yes, they're offensive, but they are timeless in a weird way. Yeah. And with Apatow, they were so of their time, and like of the location and the character type, and like it was just getting hard for the country as a whole, I think, to associate with that, because it felt a little mean spirited, or it felt a little like watching people like that wasn't as in vogue, if that makes sense. And it's a little bit why Seth Rogen has altered course. Otherwise he'd still be doing what he was doing. He had to evolve, and yes, he's still largely the same dude, but he's had to evolve and add like an element of heart to things that he wouldn't have had to earlier. And so anyway, like I don't want to dissect and overly analyze comedy, because then you really get into like a weird sector where like comedy is not funny anymore and it becomes a product. Yeah. But at the same time, it's hard to ignore that those films, the Apatow films, the Hangover films, had such a huge impact at that time. And then nothing happened after that. That's a hard fact to ignore, and you kind of have to parse through and figure out why. And I think it has to be that the culture changed, and the public appetite for that style of comedy had changed. And so now The Naked Gun did fairly well, pulled in 16 million opening weekend. I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot. Worldwide, it's 30 million. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you think about like what is the budget of this, like let's look at
42, I think.
42. Okay, so it's higher than I thought. We're creeping up on breaking even, but the point is, like, people I think did show up at least to some extent to see this, and that's great. And hopefully what it shows is like feature film comedy can be more than just Apatow and Hangover. And so, yeah, man, I'm excited to see this type of humor come back. Like the slapstick stuff has been gone for so long. Yeah. And the gross out humor of The Hangover and whatever else, I think like I think the public appetite for that has just gone away. And so we need something to replace it. And this is a good step toward a replacement.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and yeah, I mean, anything, like I said, anything evergreen is good. It's not always a safe bet, but it's like, it makes sense. And like I said, if you can make something that isn't concerned with trends or whatever else, and it just exists, and that's what art is supposed to be, man. It's supposed to just be like, here it is, like in its purest form. It's not, I sound like a hippie, but like it's not for, its first goal is to say something or like elicit like a reaction in a way. It's not, and it's like, okay. And then number two, like it'd be great if a lot of people would respond that way. But first and foremost, like for it to not be trying too hard to please everybody, it should be willing to risk alienating some people almost, but that's just the thing with corporate products is like a big entity doesn't want to alienate anybody. That's not what they want at all. And it's like, all right, well, that's an inherent conflict in producing art for the mass market. It's like you can please everyone if you want your shit to be watered down so much that it never causes it's unremarkable, good and bad. This is one of the things that Jon Stewart was talking about after Stephen Colbert's show got the announcement that it got, was getting canceled next year. It's like you can keep watering down your product until it's so unremarkable that it stays off of like the president's radar. And the same goes true. The same for anything. Like you can play it really safe, but after a while, people are kind of not going to want to see your stuff because it has nothing to say. It doesn't take any chances, and it's just not interesting. Safe isn't interesting, So it's like, as a studio, it's like, it's your job to worry about money and to like bring up concerns to filmmakers. But a filmmaker should ultimately should have the final say and be like, okay, I got it. I'm hearing you. Trust me. Yep. Instead of the studio being like, well, we're the tiebreakers because it's our money. And it's like, I get that. But the more you do that, the less of a film is a work of art. And the more it's a product. It's just a product and it's market tested. And it's like
content.
Yeah, it's content. It's like, we don't do that with like toys and other things. Like I don't know. It's that thing, and it's always going to be that way, I guess.
Props to this film because it is what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Well, alrighty, y'all. Could you get out of my fucking lights?